Well, the Confederates have done it. They've demanded the surrender of Fort Sumter. Hello and welcome to another episode of Civil War in Hindsight. I'm Lieutenant Tommy. With me, as always, is Prospector Johnny, and I want to apologize for the delay in getting this episode out to you guys. The news has been a little bit slow. It's been a little bit hectic, and I'm terrified of what's coming. And my cush. See, my parents told me, go join the military. It's a cush job. You never actually have to do anything. It'll be fine. Right? It'll be fine. It'll be great. It's a way to go into politics. And we, other than fighting some brown Indians, you never have to worry about anything. And now,
wait, no, we're at war.
It's been a very.
No, we're not.
We're not at war yet. But I think we may be by next week. It's getting kind of scary.
Well, thank God my parents told me to go search for gold because. Okay. I still haven't found any, but at least I'm not going to have to go to no war or nothing.
So the week is going to begin on the 5th of April, Johnny, and another federal fort is going to be given up in Texas, this time Fort Quitman, which is about time that we quitman giving up forts.
That's right. Or at least just give them up all at once so we don't have to report on all the Texas forts that have been given up. Texas, get your shit together and get them out the door earlier.
But a brief recap, besides all the force that we've given up, because we've given up a ton over the last couple of months, like I said, South has seceded. We've got 7 states that have seceded. They formed a confederacy. Shots have been fired at Union vessels trying to resupply Fort Sumter before.
2 times shots have been fired.
Appearing like they might be resupplying Fort Sumter. So that's where we are right now. Also on the 5th of April, Secretary of the Navy Wells will order the USS Powhatan, USS Pawnee, USS Pocahontas, and the revenue cutter Harriet Lane to provision Fort Sumter, although, if you remember from last week, the Powhatan is actually already on its way down to Fort Pickens because Lincoln gave them an order that says, hey, go put some troops and stuff down there first.
Yep.
On April 6th, Lincoln will inform Governor Pickens in South Carolina that Fort Sumter is going to be resupplied with provisions only.
Oh, wait. Whoa. What? Food?
Yeah. He's giving the governor of South Carolina a heads up saying, look,
Aren't
boats
there
that are coming.
5 people there?
Like 60, but yeah. The boats that are coming are only bringing food. There are no more personnel. As long as you do not restrict them going there to deliver food and provisions, as long as you do not fire upon them, as long as there is no resistance, we will not reinforce the fort with men.
Now, this was a lie, and he had the men hidden under the bottoms of the boats or something, and then they all were fully resupplied and ready to prepare for attack.
This is not a lie. Lincoln is giving them a heads up, which I would not have given them a heads up because now you just let your potential enemy know that you're resupplying this fort.
Because any line of communication has a chance of being intercepted, right? And now they're...
Well, no, he's giving it to the... Yeah,
he told the... that's right. Yeah, sorry.
General Pickens in South Carolina. Yep.
I misunderstood. He straight told him these are just... Food.
This is food. This is food and supplies.
And if you're but if you're General Pickens and they're obviously like
Governor
don't want. Okay, if you're Governor Pickens and they obviously don't want people at Fort Sumter, just stop that, right?
Yeah, and that's the concern. You now just gave them a heads up. So are they going to shoot at any boat that comes to Fort Sumter?
Now, was Lincoln's concern that if they sent a boat, they would assume that it was men and resupplies and then shoot for sure? And he's like, maybe they'll let us feed our troops?
I think Lincoln is just covering his bases, saying he's trying to be peaceful. Look, I'm not giving them bullets. I'm not giving guns. I'm not giving cannons. This is food.
Yeah.
As long as you don't restrict me feeding my men...
I'm
not going to send reinforcements. But if you restrict me feeding my men, they're getting guns and cannons and bullets and more men.
Man, I get it.
I don't get it. I get it, but I don't get it.
It seems like you're playing the reactionary role, though. And in a situation where people are seceding from your union and trying to take your shit, maybe you want to be a little bit more on the aggressive here.
Yeah. Also on April 6th, Lincoln is going to learn that the Powhatan has not yet landed regular troops at Fort Pickens because the Federal Navy commander has refused them to actually land. Like the boat's on its way, it's down there, but they're saying no,
chilling in the water.
You can't land the troops yet because Buchanan in his previous administration has said, don't do that.
Yeah.
So until I get a direct order from Lincoln saying, do that, I can't supersede the previous president's order. So
okay,
Lincoln
that's
says, all right,
that's a fair,
which is
little
fair.
bit of
So Lincoln says,
chain of command.
yeah. So Lincoln says to Secretary of the State Seward, he says, listen, fine, screw it, bring the Powhatan back, bring it up to Fort Sumter. But Seward's like, listen, it's already there. We can't really just.
I mean, it's a
turn it around.
Bit of ways.
On April 7th, Navy Lieutenant John L. Horden is going to leave Washington with specific orders from Lincoln to Fort Pickens to direct them to land the Federal troops. Like, Lincoln is now given.
Okay, so now he's got his orders he needs, so now do the damn thing.
Now do the damn thing. At Pensacola, which is off the Fort Pickens is off the coast of Pensacola.
Yeah. Great vacation spot.
Great vacation spot. In the Panhandle. Ugh. Confederate Commander Braxton Bragg is going to ask Confederate Secretary of War Leroy Pope Walker if he could fire upon any vessel trying to land at Fort Pickens. Walker is going to respond by saying, resist us as an attack is expected. So the Secretary of War of the Confederacy is thinking that the Union is going to attack at Fort Pickens.
Sure.
So he is giving Braxton Bragg the authority to fire upon any Union vessel entering its waters.
And so Fort Pickens is where the Union boat wants to land?
It's supposed to land at Fort Pickens, yes.
So it's going to go to Fort Pickens with the orders to land, and then everybody there is going to be like, we have orders to shoot you.
Yeah.
This can only end well.
That's why the episode's delayed by a day, because I've been crapping my pants.
Holy cow. Are you considering resignation, I assume?
No, I'm not going to resign.
Because you're a coward.
I'm not a coward. I'm not going to resign from these United States Army, but I'm a staff officer. I was told I would just be a glorified coffee getter.
Yeah.
I think I need a position where I'm away from. I don't want to be in the front. And General Scott's still not too happy about me calling him a coward or asshole or whatever I did a couple weeks ago.
No, he got mad at you for that. I mean, that makes sense, though, because you're a plebeian and you're friggin' bad-mouthing the upper management, basically.
That's true. I did do that. I
figured it out,
bud. On April 7th, in Charleston, Beauregard, General Beauregard is going to tell Major Anderson that no further intercourse between Fort Sumter and South Carolina would be permitted. So essentially, no civilian, no military, no nothing. No boats going to Fort Sumter, no boats coming from Fort Sumter to Charleston.
Okay, so so basically, just between Charleston and Fort Sumter, or everything? Okay, so they're not completely like barricading or what's it called? What's it called when they surround it?
Siege?
Yes, they're not sieging.
Is that the word you're looking at? Yeah,
yes.
They're not sieging it yet. No.
Okay.
No, what he's saying is all the civilians that have been from South Carolina that have been going there and helping, all those little boats.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, all those little boats.
Yeah.
All those Union soldiers that they've been allowing to row dinghies up and talk to Major Anderson.
Yeah, we're done. We're done playing that.
We're done with that.
Yeah.
We're done playing that.
This is some real big kid shit right now. We're done letting them have their little picnics and whatnot.
Yeah, this is over, and vice versa.
Which basically that's a form of a siege, though, because that's how they've been getting supplied, was the kindness of Union supporting South Carolinians.
Carolinians, yeah.
Carolinians?
Yep.
I don't know.
Carolinians, whatever. Yep. On the 8th of April, Governor Pickens would order all military personnel to their station around Charleston after receiving Lincoln's letter informing them that the supplies were coming to Fort Sumter. Obviously, Governor Pickens reads this letter, says, hey, supplies are coming. No, they're not. No, they're not. Battle station.
Yeah, he's like, supplies are coming, and we're asked to not shoot it or do anything bad to it. Let's go ahead and send all of our men to go watch. Don't shoot them. How do you do that? Don't shoot them. But we're going to send them all to watch.
Lincoln would again reiterate to Secretary Seward that, hey, listen, this is peaceful. I will not fire unless we're fired upon. We will defend our fort, but we will not fire first. We will not give military aid to that fort unless we're fired upon first. We're just going to feed them. Reiterate that to. He's giving Seward the.
He's making it clear that this is very much a war of northern aggression.
Yeah, he's giving permission to Seward to go to the Southern gentlemen that are there, the Southern commissioners, and say, hey, listen, we're just trying to feed our men.
Yeah, can we have some food, please?
Calm your shit.
I assume they were all like, oh, okay, I get it, and that's fine.
Yeah, so Seward goes to the Southern commissioners and say, hey, we're just trying to feed our men. The Southern commissioners then go back to General, or not General, you got me good saying General.
Sorry,
Pickens.
I didn't mean to.
Yeah. They go back to Governor Pickens and say, hey, listen, they're totally going to surrender the fort. They're going to leave and evacuate it. It's only a matter of minutes.
Wait, what?
And Governor Pickens goes, that seems reasonable.
What? That's not. Yeah. That wasn't. But that's
not all the conversation.
But then that's not how it went down. They did a different thing.
This is the game of telephone you play.
Okay, that's what happened. Okay, yeah. Where one person is like, here's the thing I'm already going to say no matter what this person says. Like, I'm going to...
Yep, exactly.
And now we're going to deliver that news. Because I want a war.
That revenue cutter, the Harriet Lane, is going to depart from New York to Fort Sumter carrying relief supplies. Again,
great
food.
Yep,
not bullets,
lots of food.
Not guns, not cannons, not people. Food.
Canned beans.
Canned beans.
Or something. I don't know what they fed them.
Canned beans, cornbread, salted pork, and some hardtack. Delicious, delicious meals. On April 10th, Confederate Secretary of War Walker is going to telegraph Beauregard and say, and I quote, you will at once demand the Fort Sumter's evacuation, and if it is refused, proceed in such a manner as you may determine to reduce it.
What? All right, so Fort Sumter surrenders or we're going to go to war is what they're saying, right? Like, that's the order.
That's the order.
They actually want to go to war. These seven Confederate states?
Yeah.
How many northern states at this time?
War of Northern, I don't know, like 35 13, minus 7, whatever that is.
40.
I'm not good at math. 20, I'm not going to do the math, Johnny.
28. That's a bad lineup.
In Charleston, preparations are being made at the surrounding forts around Fort Sumter, because again, all the forts in the harbor, minus Fort Sumter, which is in the middle of the harbor, are occupied by Confederates.
Every one of them. Fort Sumter's just chilling.
They now have troops in there, and they now have cannons that are now pointed at Fort Sumter and loaded. And to make matters worse,
and to be fair, and to be clear, these were the forts that were supposed to be. They were built to protect Fort Sumter, right? Like they were part of the protection for it. And so they're very well positioned.
They were there to protect the harbor.
The harbor, which is where Fort Sumter is.
Which is what it's supposed to protect as well.
So essentially.
Yes. And they're all pointed at Fort Sumter. And to make matters worse, Beauregard makes what's called a floating battery, which is a bunch of guns, a bunch of cannons,
a pool noodle,
put on a barge, and floated out in the middle of the water within range of Fort Sumter.
And people were on those obviously on those barges.
Yes,
Can you imagine being the dude that had to go on the
I don't want to be that dude.
Barge raft cannon? What's that going to feel like when you fire it?
I hope you're not seasick.
Holy, it's going to...
Our Lieutenant John J. Worden, he's going to arrive down in Fort Pickens on the April 10th, and he's gonna go onto the fort, give them the order specifically. Says, "Hey, look, we're landing our troops, so be prepared." This is the President of the United States saying we're going to land our troops, so be prepared. And the week is going to end on the 11th, Johnny, with Confederate Colonel James Chestnut, Captain Stephen Lee, and Lieutenant Colonel A.R. Chisholm, under the orders of Beauregard. They're going to get onto a dinghy. They're going to row under a white flag to Fort Sumter.
The flag's important.
The flag's important. Like, we're not
especially after how big of a dick you've been for the past 3 months or whatever.
They're gonna float out in their dinghy with their white flag. They're going to get to the fort, and they're going to deliver a letter from Beauregard that states, and I quote, "The Confederate States can no longer delay assuming actual possession of the fortifications commanding the entrance of their harbors and the necessary to the defense of their security." So he's handing them a letter that says, give us Fort Sumter.
Okay, but do you want to know what? That's kind of fair given everything else they've taken and given their position. Like, I get it. I mean, you shouldn't give it to them, but I get it. I get where they're like, can we kind of just have this because obviously we are going to need it.
Yeah, he delivers that letter to Major Anderson at Fort Sumter. Major Anderson then goes to his lower officers, guys like me, the second lieutenants, the Peabodys, and he says, "Hey, look, guys, over the next couple hours," he says, "what should we do? I'm going to leave it up to you guys. We'll put it up to a vote. Democracy, right? We'll vote on it.
A poll.
How do you want to proceed?
Let's see what happens.
We can evacuate. We could surrender the fort to them, or we could stand our ground. What do you guys want to do?" After several hours, Major Anderson would relay his message back to the Confederate officers that have floated out there under Beauregard's orders and say, "Nope, we're not doing it. We're not giving it up.
Hey, you wanna
take it?"
You want to know what would have made this decision a little bit easier for everybody to decide whether we defend it or whether we evacuate? Is if they got the reinforcements they needed!
Over the last 3 fucking months. Yeah, you're right. Major Anderson is going to say, "Nope, we're not going to surrender it." Confederate Secretary of War Walker will receive the news from Beauregard, and he's going to order him, and I quote, "I do not desire needlessly to bombard Fort Sumter. Okay. If Anderson will state the time at which, as indicated by him, he will evacuate, and agree in the meantime he will not use his guns against us unless we against him, you are authorized to avoid the infusion of blood." So what the Secretary of War of the Confederacy is saying essentially here is that, listen, go back to Major Anderson, ask him again.
Be like, "Hey, can we get a date?
Can we get a date and time of you leaving this fort?" Which he's already said, "No, we're not leaving." Right. But if you can get him to say a date and a time.
But like Hardale, but if you had to, like, when do you think you're gonna be out? And he's like, 1946.
Go and ask him again. They're saying go and ask him again, and if he gives you a date and time of when he's gonna leave, don't shoot at him, as long as they promise not to shoot back at us.
Now, okay, here's the thing I have had the hardest time with wars figuring out. So they're talking to Major Anderson, right?
Well, okay, so what's happened so far is Beauregard has sent his officers, his leading officers, out to Major Anderson to talk to him.
Yeah.
They said surrender.
Yes.
Major Anderson said not going to do
it. All right, why didn't they shoot him?
Shoot those guys?
Yeah.
Johnny, honor.
Oh, what is honor in war?
Don't be
a
heathen.
Are you kidding me?
Don't be a heathen, Johnny. Honor.
Give me that gold. I'll be a heathen all I want. Are you kidding me? Honor.
So honor. So they go out, they float out there, say, "Hey, surrender."
War is so stupid.
Major Anderson says, "I'm not going to surrender." So those officers go back to Beauregard and say, "He's not going to surrender." Beauregard goes to the Secretary of War, who's his head, and Secretary of War says, "All right, listen, go ask again, but don't shoot unless they shoot, and get them to promise that they're not going to shoot, and get them to promise a time of when they're going to leave."
You know what they should have done is they should have challenged him to a target practice competition, had him shoot, and then bam, it's fair game.
Fair game. Yep.
I should have been a general. Give me your coat, Tommy.
Well, I'm just a second lieutenant, John.
Whatever. I'll start low. That's fine. I'll build up quick.
Build up. So Beauregard is preparing to send his message out, but at this time it's 11 o'clock on the 11th. So we're not.
It's lucky Make a Wish.
He's not going to get to Fort Sumter in time this week for us to see what Major Anderson is going to do. The week is going to officially end with not great signs, because while all this is going on, while Beauregard is demanding the surrender of Fort Sumter, Major Anderson is saying not going to do it, Secretary of War of the Confederacy is saying ask again, while we're waiting for all this to happen, all those Confederate gentlemen, those Southern gentlemen, those commissioners up in Washington, D.C., have decided to pull out of Washington, D.C., in expectation that they can no longer negotiate peace. Wow. So this is the equivalent of the embassy of, like, England pulling out of the United States as negotiations have gone bad. So I give it.
That's war preparation, right? They're getting prepared to be like, you know what? We can no longer peacefully hang out in your territory because shit's about to hit the fan.
Yeah, I don't want to be captured.
Oh God,
so I give it. I'm not a psychic here, but I think war is coming.
I'll bet you $1 million it's not.
That's it for this week in Civil War and Hindsight. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. And if you enjoy this, come over to Historic Hindsight and watch us talk about drugs and pigs and how wars get started over both.